You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
We are about to start a 5-part series for the next 5 weeks on Wednesday shows to go over how exactly to burn the body fat off that you've always wanted to and be able to keep it off as long as you are following a system that has been proven by science but also shown to be true over the past 6,000 years in Ayurvedic medicine. So I've waited quite some time to really present this to you, and there's a couple different reasons for that. One is I've already seen it work overseas. I've already been overseas. I was in clinics for many weeks to months at a time, and I was able to see people who are not exercising, who are not going out of their way to lose weight, yet lose the weight on a specific nutrition plan and using specific herbal-based supplements. So I wanted to wait to share that with you simply because I wanted to be able to back it by science and also have you able to replicate this same exact system, because there's so many programs and ebooks and systems out there that you don't know who to trust, and I get that. What I want to do for you right now is present to you how the human body can and should lose weight in a healthy way so that you don't yo-yo up and down for the next 12 months, or if you've been doing that for the past couple of years or potentially even decades, because again, we've worked with so many people in our practice and I understand where you're coming from. I get that struggle, and it usually, I'm telling you this right now, the only way that myself or anyone else has ever figured out something before is they've been presented with a new option, a new way of looking at a problem where now they realize, oh, I get it. That's what I was missing before. That's why I was not able to reach my goal. So that's what I hope to be able to do for you. Again, it's going to all be presented to you. And I want to break it down because there's 5 main parts that we're going to be helping people with this system that we've created in the new year. And you know that whenever I create a system, whenever I'm trying to teach something, I give it to you exact. I tell you exactly what we're doing in our practice because I just believe in the mentality of abundance. I want to share with you what we do in our practice that we know works. There will always be a certain segment of the population that will say, I want to go deeper on this. I would like to learn more. I would like to work with your wellness coaches. I would like to use your weight loss-based system and protocol, whatever they choose, and that's okay. But I'm going to give you all of the information. I will give you everything, and you can choose to do with it as you wish. But we've been using this now in different variations since for sure 2000 full-time, about 1998. So we know it works. Over 20 years, we've worked with, again, hundreds of thousands of clients' appointments, and I can assure you this does work. Not just for a couple people, but thousands and thousands of people. And also, it doesn't just work here in the U.S., it works overseas as well, because much of this information has been refined and fine-tuned as I've been able to see it evolve over the years as I've learned more in the functional medicine and naturopathic realm as well. So the factor 1 today, there's 5 main factors, and they're all very, very different. So that's why one thing I just want to explain to you, I'm going to get right to it today, but one thing I want to explain to you is this, is that the body, there is no one way to burn body fat. And that's why so many people have struggled. Okay, so your friend lost weight by reducing calories. Fine. That may or may not work for you. If you've already reduced calories, reducing them more is not really going to help. That's short-sighted and will slow your metabolism if you keep it up long enough, right? Or one of your friends did an exercise program. Okay, you've been exercising, you've been moving your body, you haven't lost the weight. Why not you? There are many different factors to this. And so I'm not even going to talk about diet, and I'm not going to talk about exercise over the next 5 weeks. I'm just not. Because we'll provide that for you. You know that. You've seen it on the detox. Again, that's all free as well. Check out what we're doing, all the different elimination diet plans, and these things work. But how do we help people get to that next level of boosting their metabolism? Because this really isn't about, honestly, it's not really about weight loss anymore. It's about metabolism. You would have already lost the weight naturally if your metabolism had been elevated. Think about it. Some of your friends right now, they can eat 2,000, 3,000 calories a day and they don't gain weight. They can eat 200 carbs a day, 200 grams of carbs a day, and they don't gain weight. Why don't they gain weight, but yet you may? Or a client of yours, because again, this isn't just for you, or your mom, or your sister, or your brother, or your coworker. This can be for anybody. Share the information with them. Keep in mind, weight loss is about the metabolism. It's metabolic. Again, it's why some people can eat 2,000, 3,000 calories a day or more, while others, they can move the same amount, yet they can only eat 1,400. Why is that? Well, we're going to go over that all in these 5 different parts. So part 1 today is this: 5 different ways to lose weight beyond diet and exercise. The first one is this. It's called thermogenesis. If you do not have a highly thermogenic body or put yourself in a position to increase thermogenesis, you're not going to be able to burn body fat as easily. So let me go into what that means. Thermogenesis is simple. Thermogenesis is not just about human beings, but humans have it, but it's the ability to produce heat. So how do you produce heat? That's thermogenesis. Now, it's interesting. We go back to my internships overseas. Started in Sri Lanka, multiple in India, and again in the Netherlands. I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, this is interesting what they're giving these people. Why are they giving them these specific herbs? And I'll name those in just a moment. Why would they be giving them these? Well, it's making these people heat up, literally heat up from the inside out. Super interesting. Why? Because, and I've gone over this, I will try to link up this podcast, but I went over, I will do this. I'm going to see if my team can link up. If not, you can look it up. You can literally just go to stevencabral.com/podcast at any time, and you can just search for exactly what you're looking for. But you could type in white fat or brown fat, and I did a podcast of how thermogenesis actually converts white fats over to brown fats. Why is this important? Why would that matter? Because you are burning more calories, you are more thermogenic the more brown fat you have. And I know this seems strange, but brown fat is a survival-based adaptation that's happened where it actually produces heat. It actually burns calories. And it contains more mitochondria than white fat. So why does this matter? Again, it's about this. It's that your resting metabolic rate when you're doing nothing, right? Because for the majority of the day, let's be honest, for the majority of the day, we're doing nothing. We're basically just sitting or kind of standing around. We're not really that physically active as human beings that much anymore. We now, for most of us, have to push. I have to be conscious to get 10,000 steps of walking a day. If I was not conscious of it, I would no longer be getting 10,000 steps. That's the crazy thing about our lifestyles for the most part. We take short walks here and there, but not enough to get 10,000 steps. So now we have to think about it. So yes, I want you to be active, but I also want you to be metabolically active even at rest, even when you're sitting. So the more brown fat you have, the more you're able to boost your metabolism. Now, how do we do these things? I'm going to get to the Ayurvedic herbs and things we used overseas in just a moment. But one of the amazing things that we did, and we do right now, again, we had, and I'm very proud about this because Boston, say what you will about Boston. I love the city. I really do. I love Boston. Is it miserable weather in the winter? Yes, it is. Okay, there's no doubt about it. It's something that makes a Bostonian is living through December, through, let's be honest, through April. It's cold. The water, a lot of people don't believe like, oh, Boston's on the ocean. No, Boston's about, well, it's right on the ocean. But the area that I'm in is maybe 1 mile from the Atlantic. That's it. And those cold winds blow right off the water. And it's already snowing here. So here's the thing. If you expose yourself to that, you would actually build up more brown fat. Why? Because your body your body would have to increase heat. But let me go back to my little story for a second. So when I opened my wellness center, this is my second location back in 2012, what I did was we put in the first infrared sauna in Boston and around the greater Boston area back then. And I know that this is like not revolutionary today, 7 years later, 8 years later. But back then it was like to do that. It was like this strange thing because Boston is very conventional medicine based. We have arguably the brightest minds as MDs in Boston. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there's other great minds around the country. But we're talking about Harvard University, MIT, Tufts, Boston University. We got hospitals like Brigham and Women, Beth Israel, Mass General Hospital. I mean, pretty amazing. Biotech firms all over Cambridge, Massachusetts. Great. Here's the thing, though. Not a whole lot of natural health going on around here. I mean, we didn't even have real juice places until maybe like 8 years ago. I mean, that's the truth. And even today, they're not that great. There's a couple. Raw Revolution, great. Couple are good. Most of them don't even make fresh pressed juice. It's just to go. So it's okay. We've got a ways to go. But what we did was via the sauna. And the reason I mentioned sauna is one of the ways to increase thermogenesis. Now, you can do it through heat, through a sauna, being outside in the heat, like being in Florida in July or August, that type of heat, sweating in that humidity and all that heat, that'll burn body fat. There's no doubt about it. So that'll burn body fat because your body's heat, it's literally heating up. But the other is always think about this. There's a reason why I named Equilibrium Nutrition Equilibrium. And it came from all of the texts that I was reading over and over. They stated this thing, dynamic equilibrium. Like, what does that mean? Well, if you've never heard me talk about it before, dynamic equilibrium is the ability to go back to a state of homeostasis, which means balance, on a second-to-second basis within the body, millisecond to millisecond. That means your body, in all of its innate wisdom and beauty, that we can't replicate today. I can't replicate it. The best scientists in the world can't replicate it. But somehow your body knows how, within milliseconds, to take in a substance, a food, and rebalance the body that quickly. So, like, for example, if you were to take in like a Pepsi or Coca-Cola or one of those things, that should kill you. Honestly, that type of acidity should kill you. Phosphoric acid, all of those things. And eventually all the sugar as well. But what does your body do? Everybody says, okay, we'll rebalance pH in the blood. We'll rebalance blood sugar. It knows how to do that without you specifically thinking about it. Well, there's another part to it too, is that your body, when it gets too cold, think ice bath or think exposing yourself to cold in general. It has to heat itself back up. That takes energy. That takes calories. The same thing when you get hot in a sauna, when you are exercising, when you expose yourself to higher body temperature, that takes energy to then cool yourself back down. You've essentially created thermogenesis. Now your body's trying to cool itself down. Or you created a cold-based space, as what's getting popular now, cryo, ice baths, cold showers, etc. What does your body do? It has to heat up its core temperature, bring back up thermogenesis. So this is the process of creating heat in the body. And somehow, Ayurveda knew this, again, 6,000 years ago. Now we're just, again, that's why I say what we're learning today is more of a rediscovery than anything else. Really, it's honestly a rediscovery of what was once known that was then forgotten and is being rediscovered and putting in scientific terms. And don't get me wrong, I have a very science-based mind. Very hard for me to accept things unless I can say, how does that work, right? But even if I can't, I now at least have the ability to say, I'm going to keep my mind open to that. Because a lot of what we don't know or can't prove today, it will be proven in 10 years from now. I saw that growing up in the health industry, fitness industry, etc. So I said, listen, it's not printed in textbooks yet, but I know interval training works. And then lo and behold, and it wasn't just me, by the way. I mean, I'm not creating these things. I'm a part of an industry that's doing them. And I'm learning from people like Coach Boyle and Mark Verstegen, like way back in the day. I'm learning from these people. I'm like, all right, yeah, this works. Let me put my twist on it. Okay. Here it is. And I'm saying, okay, these things work. Why aren't they in textbooks yet? Oh, and I asked, the coaches and great athletic directors and athletic trainers, they say, okay, well, much of what happens in science only comes about because they eventually figure out what they need to test because they see it working in a coach's lab or a functional medicine office. So I take that to heart today. I know things work because I saw them work overseas in Ayurveda. So, okay, yeah, we'll prove them eventually, but why? It might as well, as long as it's safe, we may as well take advantage of it right now. Okay, so you heard about two things already that can boost thermogenesis. One, cold baths. I did a podcast on who should do a cold bath, who shouldn't. Maybe we can link that up today as well. So we've got cold baths to link up, and we also have brown fat and white fat, also known though as brown adipose tissue and white adipose tissue, so it's WAT versus BAT. I would love you to check out that show as well. There's definitely a lot of great science and content behind that because you want to be able to share this. Again, if you're a health coach, you want to be able to say, hey, here's why this works, right? Here's why it works. We know it works. Here's why it works. Okay, so there's a few things that you can use as nutritional supplements. Many people are already doing at least the first one today. All right, so I'm going to give you that one, but there's a few more that you may not know about. So let's go over those now. Now, the very first one, so we'll just kind of let the cat right out of the bag, out of the gate, is caffeine. So caffeine people love for the reason that it wakes you up. Well, one of the reasons that it wakes you up is because it actually moves adrenaline through the body, right? So it's going to give you a little bit of an adrenaline-based boost. Well, adrenaline takes calories. So adrenaline actually boosts thermogenesis. So again, people look at caffeine in many different ways. Now, the nice thing is this. A lot of people like coffee. And I'm not going to take coffee away from you. I think the thing is that we just overuse coffee. We overuse caffeine. But there are clear studies that show if you are not someone that is the Vata body type, and again, Vata body type's not going to need to lose weight, but if you're not the Vata body type, you don't have high levels of anxiety, and you need to actually burn some body fat, and you don't have blood sugar dysregulation. Hopefully you check out yesterday's show was on blood sugar dysregulation. Then caffeine could actually be beneficial to a degree. So it's 300 milligrams per day is usually the max that we tell people. Some people 200 to 300. Okay. So I still don't recommend going over that because one, it's unnecessary. And two, if you're doing that much, you're most likely doing it for energy. And then you need to figure out why you're so low in energy. That's what we need to figure out. Always ask that why. So I want to be careful with overdoing caffeine. But as I've said in the past, there are actually studies between caffeine and brain neurogenesis. So being good for the brain, creating new neural plasticity and improving brain fog and memory and cognition, Alzheimer's. So there's research behind that. There's no doubt about it. I just don't think that we need to overdo it. Cup of coffee, maybe 2 in the morning. Yes, but what if you go to, again, I'm not picking on Starbucks. I don't have a problem with that. It's fine. But think about this. Their tall coffee is 272 milligrams. So a tall coffee would be your max. Now, espresso's different. Espresso's somewhere, it varies, okay? It varies. But it's somewhere between 60 and 80 milligrams per shot of espresso. So let's say you do a double espresso. You're at 160 milligrams. That's not too much. Again, it's too much if you get anxiety from it, for sure. It's too much if it spikes your blood sugar. It's too much if it spikes your cortisol levels. There's no doubt about it. I agree with that. And again, I want to be unbiased. But if it boosts thermogenesis, doesn't spike blood sugar, doesn't spike cortisol out of abnormal range, doesn't cause you anxiety, could be okay. Okay? Not promoting it, but honestly okay. And can boost thermogenesis. So I don't want to overlook that. A lot of people will take a black coffee before a workout. A lot of people will do black coffee or coffee in the morning. And it's at least something to think about. Now, if you have issues with caffeine, I do recommend, or you like your coffee, but it causes some of those things, have it after a meal. Honestly, after breakfast or more mid-morning where your cortisol levels aren't already at their peak. Again, it depends on the person. But what I will tell you is this, is that here's some research for you. Research found that that caffeine can increase metabolism by roughly 4%, and boosts fat burning by 16% for 24 hours after ingestion. Not bad. Somewhere around 15 calories or more burned per cup. So again, not too bad. All right, it's something. We're not talking about dramatic, but yes, that boosts thermogenesis. Now, here's where it gets more interesting, and this is what I want to share with you. That's like what we do know. Like, that's simple, that's straightforward. But when I was over in India, by the way, they use caffeine in India as well. They use caffeine in Ayurveda as a black tea. So a black tea certainly has caffeine. How much caffeine? Well, so I didn't finish that. Small Starbucks, about 272 milligrams. A Dunkin' Donuts or regular cup of coffee, about 140 to 150 milligrams. So almost half that of a Starbucks. And then 2 shots of espresso, about the same as a small coffee. So again, you can regulate however you want. You could do 1 shot of regular, 1 shot of decaf. Well, you're only getting about 70 grams or so of caffeine. You could do a half regular coffee, half decaf. You can do it however you want to find out the right amount of caffeine for you. If I do some, I'm typically good about 100 to 150 milligrams, not more than that. I already have a buzz. I already have that natural, a little bit of a zip. And again, I didn't always have this. I mean, again, you're talking about somebody with Addison's disease for a decade dealing with those issues. So for me, part of it's that I have a morning routine and I have things that set me up to naturally raise my cortisol levels naturally. And I want the same for you. But I'll still do some coffee or some caffeine, again, if I choose to, especially if I can do it at a regulated amount. But let's say, okay, I'm at a convention and they have a Starbucks coffee. I don't want to go overboard here. You can drink half. Like, that's the thing. You could drink half a cup of coffee. All right, let me move on. So when I was in Sri Lanka originally, I was actually making these capsules for people. So it wasn't my job the whole time, but for part of the job was to take these very spicy herbs. We call them capsaicin. Capsaicin. And I'll give you the patented name in a second. But we took hot peppers. That was basically it. Okay, we called it trikatu. So trikatu is a long pepper fruit. We use black pepper. Again, now we call it like bioperine. But we took these things and we put them in a capsule-based form. Now, we didn't have the vegetable capsules like we use at Equilibrium Nutrition. They just don't have those. So what we did is we rolled them in a little bit of ghee, or we rolled them in a little bit of raw honey. Or, well, actually, that was always the case for those. Why? Because people could swallow them. Because these are spicy. Remember that. More spice, the more thermogenic effect. So what we didn't do is have people put these on their tongue because then they wouldn't want them. We got them right in their stomach. We typically did it with the first meal of the day so that there was no nausea, and we were good to go. So that would then heat up their body. Here's what the studies show now. Again, did they know this in Ayurveda? No. But a review of 20 studies found that capsaicin supplements can boost metabolism by about 50 calories per day, which could lead to significant weight loss over time. So now we're looking at 15 calories or so for a cup of coffee, just at the minimum. And we're looking at another 50 calories or so for the capsaicin, the hot pepper. These are just 2. You can see as you start to add nutritional supplements or spices or traditional herbs, you're able to get to 100, maybe even more calories per day at rest. Not even exercising, at rest. That's the significant thing. Another study found that people over an 8-week study who combined the caffeine or green tea and the capsaicin lost about 2.2 pounds. So that's not bad. Again, not doing anything, just using those specific supplements. So now what if, like the goal is always what if? What if you added the exercise? What if you added the other factors that I'm going to talk about over the next 4 weeks? And here's the other interesting thing that the study does not quote, because there's more to this. Using these products that I just named, especially the hot peppers as well, it can reduce appetite. And too many people feel like when they're on a new nutrition plan that they're hungry, that they're overeating. So what if we could help to naturally suppress appetite in a healthy way? We would probably get better results as long as people were not under-eating. And that's the important thing to look at as well. So the big takeaway that I want to give you for today is this. Besides just lowering calories and increasing exercise, we now have one more factor considered out of the 5 that I'm going to give you over the next 4 more weeks after today, is that if you increase thermogenesis, we'll talk about neurogenesis on another day in terms of mitochondria and brain health, but if you increase thermogenesis with cold water, with sauna, with heat from exercise, with potentially caffeine, and with hot-based spices, you are able to naturally suppress appetite as well as burn more calories even while at rest. So again, these are all things that you're going to use, no one better than the other, but you're going to use them all. And when you use them all, they turn into a synergistic-based effect. And when you get a synergistic-based effect, which no one has studied yet, that is how you are truly going to lose the weight and be able to keep it off as long as you are following the systems. And that's really what it's all about. So thank you so much for tuning into today's show. As always, I appreciate you. If anybody needs to hear this message, please, if you would, do feel free to share this message with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.